If you're new here, my name is Colin, and I'm a non-binary scientist and lover of makeup. And this is Bean. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Colin, and I'm a non-binary scientist and lover of makeup. And today I'm going to be doing a review of the Its Freakin Bats palette from Shroud Cosmetics and BeautBean. I meant to film this earlier today, but Bean has been very needy today. And I spent a good chunk of the early afternoon laying on the couch with her on my chest. Yeah. No, you don't need makeup. Okay, you can go down. Bean's been very needy lately, and I think it's because we took care of my best friend's dog for a few days while they were out of town, and they've become very close friends. And last night they came up so we could continue watching Buffy, and we're like 5 episodes into season 3 now. And Bean and her dog June just played for a long time. And then it seems like when she doesn't see her for a little while, she gets really needy and clingy and sad. So this is the collaboration between BeautBean here on YouTube and Shroud Cosmetics, and this had kind of a rocky start. I think the demand was just way higher than the brand expected, so they actually had to shut down the website for a few months to get them all made and sent out. And then they restocked it and reopened the website, and that's when I ordered this. So this retails for $35. It has a 12-month shelf life, and it is 100% vegan and cruelty-free, which is great. This is the first thing that I've tried from Shroud, and I think it's a really unique color story. This is one of the most unique color stories I've ever seen. So this is a 9-pan palette. It's got this nice heavy-duty cardboard. It's got a pretty nice mirror. It feels pretty weighty and nice in the hand. And this is the color story. It's this really interesting mix of grungy tones and these bluish purples. I actually tried to film this yesterday, but failed. I just could not talk, was low energy, was just bad. I ended up deleting it right away. I think I was just tired. I did another look before that that I'll insert right here that I'm really proud of, but I think between that and just not sleeping well because I had drank a little too much the night before, it was not a good day for filming. So today I'm going to go through shade by shade, give my thoughts on them, and then some overall opinions. So the first shade is Handbook. This is a shimmery chartreuse and it is really pretty. I have this right here on both eyes. I really like this. I like this kind of greeny yellow shimmer. I have a few things similar to this, but none are quite the same. Spooky is the shade in the middle on the top row, and this is a periwinkle. And I have to say, this is probably the most pigmented periwinkle I've ever used. Most tend to be a little on the light side and take a lot of building up. This, you tap it on, immediate color. And I've worn this all over my lid, and it looked really great. The next shade is Apparition, which is this really pretty duochrome, so it's a purple with a gold shift. And I'll swatch that right here. So you can see, especially as my light hits it, that gold becomes pretty apparent. That's really beautiful. I would say these three down the middle are my favorite three of the palette. The next shade down here is Atoms, and this is a dark teal, matte, really beautiful teal. I have this in my crease today. Works really well, and I like that because it's a teal, it's a little green, it's a little blue, and it works well with both Spooky and the shade over here, Trappa, so it kind of works with everything, and I think BeautBean did a really good job picking the tones and making sure they work well together. The middle shade in the center of the palette is Sam, and this is a sage green metallic, which I don't have anywhere else in my collection. I've been wanting something like that, so I'm really happy to have that in here. I'll give that one a swatch too. So this really pretty just light sage. I think this is something I'm going to use a lot this fall, especially with a neutral eye, like brown all over the lid or something, and that on the inner corner. So that is something I would do pretty regularly when campus was open before. And now that campus is supposed to open again next month, we'll see. Looks like we're going to be wearing masks, at least for the foreseeable future. But we will be teaching in person, so I'll definitely be doing more eye looks, because that's really all you'll see. The next shade is Trappa, which is this really cool grungy yellowy green. I have other yellowy greens, mustards, grungy greens like this, but I don't really have any that quite match this one. This one is unique in its specific tone, and I really appreciate that. I have that all over as my transition today. So I took that first, and then I blended atoms into that. And the two together turn even more of a normal, just like a true green color. They kind of, the blue tones in this and the yellow tones in this kind of even out and make it a little more just green, which I think is really interesting. The next shade is one of my other favorites. This is Zero. This is another duochrome, so this is a lavender with a green shift. So I'll swatch that right here. This might be my favorite because it leans a little more blue, and it's such a unique shade. I mean, all three of these, even this is pretty unique, purple and gold, but like lavender and green is really unique. So I think this is my favorite. I'm also just kind of a sucker for anything blue. The next shade is Dairy, which is this dark eggplant maroon is what it's called, and it is really cool. I really like this. Works with every other shade in here. It's what I have on my outer corner to deepen up, both. I also, the other day, I'll put a picture here, wore this just all over the lid, and I put Apparition on the inner corner. Worked great as a nice purple smoky eye, and it kind of turned, it looked like a purpley gray. Like people, when I saw them, were like, is that gray? No, it's got a little bit of a purple to it. Like they were a little confused, but like in a good way. So I really like that, and it worked great. I had it all over and packed on my lid for 10 hours, I think. I don't know, time means nothing anymore. But it was an entire day, and looked great when I washed it off. And then the final shade is Grim, which is another shimmer, and is this dark teal. I think they call it a deep aqua, but it seems more teal to me. This is also a really pretty shade. I have this on the outer part of my lid, blended into the other greens. I really like this. It's a little less shiny than the others, so it's still a metallic, but it's not as reflective as some of the other ones, but it works really well and it looks really pretty. So for overall thoughts, I haven't had issues with any of these shadows. I even dropped the palette, which I'm really sad about. There's a little dent right here, and this corner is a little bent. Grim popped out because they're magnetic, but no damage. So that was nice. I was very mad because I've dropped a couple palettes in the past and it hasn't gone over very well. I dropped a ColourPop palette a few months ago and it fully just shattered, like powder everywhere, not savable in any way. So I know Beauty and the Frizz, Kara, posted 3 looks with this recently, and she had a lot of trouble with handbook. She said it emphasized texture and she didn't like the way it looked on her lid. I have it all over and I don't have any emphasized texture or any texture appearing. I just put them over glitter glue. I will say the shades, the shimmers, the 5 shimmers definitely work best over glitter glue or wet. I don't like the way they look as much just by themselves, especially over a matte. I feel like the inner corner, they work fine, but trying to put them on the lid over another matte or something just doesn't look right. But over a glitter glue or spraying them or something is fine. But I do that with basically every shadow. I almost always use glitter glue just to make sure it looks good and lasts all day. So it's not really an extra step for me, it's just something I automatically do. The mattes in this, I will say, are kind of dry. They're really pigmented, but they don't feel like, you know, sometimes you touch a shadow and it feels kind of creamy or silky or something like that. I know Natasha Denona's feel pretty creamy most of the time, and I've had others like Kaleidos, Lethal, they feel pretty silky. These feel pretty dry, but not in a bad way. I've had shadows that feel dry and they feel uncomfortable, like it doesn't feel good to touch them. These feel dry, but then you swirl your finger in a little for a second for a swatch, and it doesn't feel gritty. It feels dry, but not gritty. But they're really pigmented and they blend really easily. So when I've had dry shadows in the past, they weren't necessarily as pigmented or they didn't blend very well. And these blend really nicely and are really pigmented. So even though they're dry, it still works fine. It's just something I noticed immediately when touching them. So I said this before, but this is the first thing I've tried from Shroud, and I'm really intrigued to see what their other palettes and singles feel like, if they are the same formula or if this is slightly different because it's a collaboration and BeautBean got to, you know, pick things and formulate things herself. I don't know, so I'm intrigued to see. I think their Arcana palette looks pretty interesting, so I might grab that one of these days and try and do some comparisons. Let me know in the comments below if you've grabbed this or anything else from Shroud and what you think about the formula and how they compare, because I'm really intrigued to know. I'm really happy I grabbed this. I totally think this is worth $35. The shimmers are all really unique, especially I think for these 3 shades and Berry alone it's worth it. The rest are great and just perks, but like these are so unique and so pretty that like totally worth it for me. So I'm really happy to have this. I feel like especially as we're going into the gray season here in Seattle, which it's pretty gray out today, this will get a lot more use because these tones, I'm inspired by these tones and I want to wear these kind of things, especially in like October, which, you know, fits with the theme. It is true about Seattle that we do get a lot of rain, but it's more mist and just a lot of gray. So it's just gonna probably be from my birthday next month until April next year, just gonna be gray all the time. So having some fun, sparkly things to wear during that time period always helps. So, final thoughts. I definitely think this is worth it. I think it was worth the wait. Let me know if you agree, if you've grabbed it, and if you thought it was worth the wait as well. I do know this is out of stock right now, but they did say it will be restocked as long as there's demand, I think is what they said. So I'm hoping that they'll do it again sometime this fall because it is a very fall-y Halloween kind of palette. I feel like people like this a lot in October, so I'm hoping that they do a restock soon. And I'm also intrigued to see what they do next because I think since this was October 2020 or November 2020, this was their last launch. I don't think they've launched anything new since then, so I'm really intrigued to see what the brand does next. Their older palettes look interesting. I just haven't grabbed them yet, but I'm excited to see what they do in the future because I think this is a really unique color story and this is an interesting formula. So I want to try more of it. So let me know what you think of the palette and Shroud Cosmetics in the comments below. I'm really intrigued to see what other people think of their formulas and how they've worked for them and how this compares to the rest of their collection. And let me know what you think of this look. I really love the way these greens turned out. I like greens. I have olive skin, so they're just kind of a natural go-to for me. The rest of my makeup details will be in the description box as well. I did the yellow Kaleidos on the inner corner, and then the face highlighter and blush and stuff is from Kimchi. And then my lip is Kaleidos, one of the lip clays. But I'll have everything down below. So let me know what you think. And then tomorrow I think I'm going to film a video with my Trixie Cosmetics products. I have a little bit of everything from the brand, and tomorrow they're launching their new Plant Gay collection, which I'm really excited to get. So I think I'm going to do kind of an overview of what I think of each of their other products as well. So I'm going to try and get that done tomorrow. But otherwise, I hope everybody has a great week, a great weekend, and I will see you all in my next video.